The Boston Bruins have made a clear statement about Dean Letourneau and what this season holds for him at Boston College. We're even breaking that down, going over how Marco Sturm could have a very interesting impact on that and what this means for Letourneau going forward, as well as an update regarding a very interesting trade that could be going down very soon. We're going to be breaking it all down here in this video. Before we do jump into it though, ladies and gentlemen, be sure to hit the sub button if you haven't already. As you know, we're on the road to 8K. We're on the road there as well, but we know that just over 60% of you guys watching right now are not subscribed to the channel. So if you're looking for a spot for all of your Bruins news, be sure to hit the sub button. We're going to be going over it here. Every bit of Bruins news that drops in, you're going to get it here as it happens. But we need to jump straight into this. I want to first go over some quotes from Don Sweeney about what he had to say from Dean Letourneau. And we saw a bit about this a few weeks ago, and there's more now coming out from an NHL article. And starting off with Don Sweeney, he says maybe it wasn't the right choice. In hindsight, I think we all would have agreed that maybe another year in the USHL would have been a better path. And this goes on from what he was saying about Dean Letourneau after a very lackluster season at Boston College, where he tallied just 3 points in 30-odd games, which is obviously not at all the way you want to see from your not most recent, but closest most recent first-round pick. And, looking at Dean Letourneau, we knew he was going to be a bit of a project when drafted. And we all kind of, saw that, there was a big jump from the USHL to Boston College, and it was pretty quick the way it happened. But going into this season, nobody expected a sole point total of 3 points. And going into that as well, and kind of looking at the way this kind of whole system was structured from Letourneau, we know that, coming in from the Sioux Falls Stampede, the USHL, from, his 130-point season with St. Andrews, there was going to be some sort of jump there, and obviously this was not the one that we thought about at all. And Dean Letourneau has spoken out a bit. We're going to be breaking that down here in a little bit as well, but going from, the 2 games that he played, obviously not enough there at all. It should have been a full season, and Don Sweeney now going back on that and acknowledging once again that it should have been, is a very good step in the right direction. Obviously, you can't do nothing about it now. It is the past, but acknowledging it, thinking about the way that he handled that, saying that he was wrong, it's a great way to start it off, kind of acknowledging that the fact that he did that not in the greatest idea, and it really led to what may have been the perfect decision for James Higgins to go back to Boston College rather than making the jump to the NHL with the Boston Bruins this year. And there's something in me certainly saying that Don Sweeney thought about that when conversating with Dean Letourneau as well, but also James Higgins going into what the plan should be for this season. But going in as well and taking a look at Dean Letourneau and what he had done with St. Andrews College, and I'll pull it up on the big screen here. Going from, as I mentioned, a 127 point in 56 games in the U18 AAA League, then going down to Sioux Falls, where he should have stayed a bit longer. Of course, that's the whole reference as to what Don Sweeney is saying. Then going to Boston College last year in 36 games, 3 assists. Obviously, is, not at all the path that a player who's on this projection should take in a point total. Of course, another season in the USHL obviously was the right answer, but going into it as well, Don Sweeney had some more to say about that, saying it's significant growing pains. Deep down, is he better off for it? Well, we'll see this year. I don't look at it as a setback. I just look at it like a reality slap in a lot of ways. So Don Sweeney, not all saying that this is negative. And coming into Dean Letourneau's season this year, it's going to be one where a lot of eyes are going to be on him due to what happened last year. But the way the Bruins have this kind of whole, I would say 4 to 5 year plan structured out, Dean Letourneau, at least in my mind, and what I'm going to pull up in a moment from The Athletic, certainly has Dean Letourneau still in it and at a pretty valuable role. And from The Athletic, this came out late July. I believe it was July 24th on there. They projected the 28-29 Bruins roster. Now, that was a very dog days of summer article to put out, and obviously, why would we look at that now? But going into it, this is a direct correlation to kind of what we're talking about here now with what the plan is for some of these players, and especially a guy like Dean Letourneau, who at 25th overall last year, going into the 3-assist season, 36 games at Boston College, going to be taking the big jump this year. A lot of eyes are still going to be on him, and looking at where they have this offensive and forward group based on in 2028, you see Morgan Geekie, James Higgins, David Pastrnak, very similar to what we have now, but the second line is Will Zellers, who we acquired in the Charlie Coyle trade, Will Moore, who was drafted in the second round this year, and Dean Letourneau on the right wing, and he is a center, right wing also, but going and looking at what the Bruins have at least a plan, and I believe this from Fluto Shinzawa, so if I'm wrong, correct me there, but looks like Dean Letourneau will be taking a winger slot, or at least what a lot of Bruins insiders are thinking will be a good winger slot for the 6'7" forward, who is going to be a force when he really gets his game underway at Boston College, and then also making that into the NHL. So taking a look at the offense, of course, I'm not going to jump into everything else here, but it really does seem like the Bruins still have that plan going forward with Dean Letourneau as a big integral part of this team. So I want to know what you guys think. Are you thinking that this could be Dean Letourneau's last chance to really break out at the college level before maybe making the jump to what would be the AHL first and then kind of going there? Or are you giving him more time? And I'll say right now, I'm giving him more time. I'm taking a look at what he's done in, St. Andrews just last year with Boston College. It was a big jump too soon. But I do think that, another year at Boston College, maybe even 2, could be the, real way to unlock Dean Letourneau here in his actual potential coming into this season. So I want to know what you think about that. But I do have one more quote before we finish it off here. This one from Dean Letourneau on the whole kind of concept of what was going on the past season. He said, "I got to develop key areas of my game that some people might have thought were my weaknesses. Going into next year, I'll just be able to take off offensively. People will be able to start to see my true capabilities." So, Dean Letourneau not taking that as a negative, which I think is a very good mindset coming into this upcoming season with Boston College. I think if he started off on the wrong foot with the wrong mentality, it would have been a eerily similar season to what we saw last year. But the fact that he's taking this as a learning example, I don't want to say he, is denying what Don Sweeney said with the, idea of jumping too soon. But I think that this is a very good mindset going into it with the potential that he really has in this upcoming season to take that massive leap. So let me know what you think about all of that. But we need to move on to a new report coming out revealing a trade that not the Boston Bruins, but some other teams are looking at as a very interesting way of kind of adding to this team. And I want to know what you guys think about this, so be sure to listen closely. And it says, in a recent proposal from Heavy Sports, Tristan McKinstry, the Oilers would accomplish just that, which is, of course, adding to their offense in a deal with the Boston Bruins. The trade would move a 2027 fifth-round pick to the Bruins for Georgii Merkulov, a forward who could fit in the depth piece for Edmonton. Now, going into this trade and taking a look at what we've seen from Georgii Merkulov over the past few seasons, I've been an advocate of having him in this NHL team. But the way the Bruins did some adding and some subtracting here in the summer, it doesn't seem like Georgii Merkulov still has a role on this team, albeit I think he would really fit in here. And taking a look at, the past few seasons in the AHL, he's been near point per game in all of those. And I think that's just another kind of show of how ready he is for the NHL level, and only playing 10 NHL games total. And of course, this season being one of them, where played a few games here, a few games there, and kind of coming into a 1-point total. It obviously isn't a great look, but I do think that Georgii Merkulov still has a place on this team. Maybe not right now, maybe not, to the beginning of the regular season, maybe not game 1, but I don't think that right now you can justify trading him without seeing him have a bit of a longer stretch in the NHL, and going into, where he would help out, where he would go in bottom 6, and on that 1-year deal that he just signed, I think that he really has that one final stretch here before he requests a trade from the Boston Bruins to crack this NHL roster. And I'm not going to say the same with Fabian Lysell, but it's getting to that point now as well where I'm thinking we're going to see him in some more trades like this type of deal. But a 5th-round pick, I just don't think, first of all, is enough at all to be able to justify accepting this trade without seeing him in a longer tenure in the NHL. But it's things that we're going to be starting to see now where this Bruins team is adding a lot in the bottom 6, has a lot of people coming up that will be able to crack this NHL roster soon enough, even though these guys have been waiting their turn for quite a long while. So I want to know what you guys think about a trade, first of all, for Merkulov, but let's not think about the fifth round pick. Let's just think about the Edmonton Oilers going for Merkulov with, not necessarily a win in return for the Boston Bruins. Are you comfortable trading him right now, or do you want to see him wait a little bit longer throughout the season before we actually take that big leap into his, potential future of his career going elsewhere? So let me know what you think about that. But that's all I have in the video. If you did enjoy, give it a like, hit the sub button as well. I'm signing out, though. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day. See you later.